What is up, everybody? Welcome to the 7th episode of the Streets of Rage online podcast. I'm your host, Streetsman. What's been going on, guys? It's been a long time coming. We've been waiting to get episode 7 out to you for a long time. The community's kind of been down. It's been quiet. Nothing new has been going on. But we're back, and with some very good news, obviously. We have launched our new official YouTube channel. It's called Official SOR Online. Check us out. If you're watching our podcast from there, welcome to the show. And we're going to have this show available for download on streetsofrage.net, which, of course, the link to that will be posted in this video. Hope everyone's doing pretty good. I've really missed doing this show, and I've missed the community, and it's good to be back. Obviously, with a fresh new site update. And we're really looking forward to it. It's just a renewed sense of excitement around here, and it's very good to be back. So I want to talk about what I had covered in the last podcast several months back about the Streets of Rage meetup. The meetup is not going to happen for 2013. It's going to be pushed back. I don't think we're going to have enough people for this meetup. And of course, you all know that I want to go all out on this thing. I want to make it, big, fantastic, and just over the top. But if only 5 people or something are going to show up, well, there's no point in me doing that. I'd like a big audience to show up and enjoy what I have planned for this event. So we're going to hold off on it a little bit, and we're going to let that simmer, but it will happen. It's just not going to happen next year. It's going to happen when I know for sure we're going to have enough people behind it and supporting it to have that event happen. As some of you may not know, Streets of Rage Online has been here for 10 years now, just a little over 10 years now. I mean, when you have that many years behind you, you're going to have ups and downs. I mean, the site and the forums and all that have gone through some inactivity due to, not as many updates and all that stuff, but when you have such a great community of people that always seem to come back and that are always behind you, it really helps what you're trying to do, and it gets the message across and what you're trying to deliver to people. And I think that this site has just been really great for its consistency, its longevity. The majority of the fans have been around here for years. We always love welcoming new people on board. It's very fantastic. It's like a little family. And I just want everyone to keep that in mind whenever, if it looks like we're going through inactivity and stuff, it's just a little slow point. And I think right now we're just back to the point where, we're really active again, and we're, booming, and it's great. So, I mean, I just want everyone that's like thinking about it to keep that in mind about our website and what we're trying to do here. And it's just really great that the energy that comes around with us, and it's fantastic. I would like to talk just for a little bit about the Streets of Rage fan game called the Streets of Rage Silent Storm. Now, this is very interesting. There's not a lot I know about this game, other than there's some concept art and all that stuff for it. No, I'm looking at some right now. It's very interesting. I mean, I'm really interested in what this project can become. Of course, you know me. I'm really always interested when a fan game is out. Because I'm always interested in the quality of it. Obviously, games like Streets of Rage Remake lived up to, and in some cases surpassed any and all expectations. I don't think anybody expected that game to be as good as it was, and it was fantastic. But you also want to look at the new stuff that comes in and see, what's there and what the potential for it could be and how good of quality it can be. And by looking at this, it looks like a very interesting concept, and it looks like, as long as things go well, it can be very well done. It's kind of hard to describe. I mean, what I'm looking at is very interesting. It's very clear. It looks crisp. The people behind it seem very professional. And I'm very interested in playing a demo of this at some point. I hope one is made available soon. But I'd really like to play this game and see what it has to offer. I have 3 questions to read on the podcast today, and they all come from our webmaster, Matt, who is making this site update. There's 3 questions. The first one is ideas for a basic story to a new Streets of Rage game. Well, honestly, I mean, there's many ideas I have, but nothing is really on paper. If I really wanted to come up with ideas for a new story, which I would love to write a story for any of the fan games that aren't really high in development right now, I would have to take, pen and paper, sit down, and start going at it from there. But I think I could come up with something pretty good, actually. Not involving Mr. X, by the way. Second question. With all the modern game systems moving to motion-controlled gameplay like Wii, Kinect, etc., and with the upcoming next generation led by Wii U, do you think the next Streets of Rage game should incorporate some kind of motion-based gameplay mechanic, and if so, what form would this take? If it was something of that nature, it would have to be something where we're not seeing it in a side-scrolling view, because I don't think that would work very well for a motion sensor. I think it'd have to be kind of like open world kind of. If you're in a city, you'd have to be, walking straight where you're seeing the player from the back. You can't really, and that would work just fine. But I think if you're not playing with a motion sensor, I think Streets of Rage is always going to do well as a side scroller. I don't think you want to get away from that. And that's kind of the worry if a new one did come out, that it would get away from that and it might not turn out very well. Next question. This kind of pertains to what I just said. In the last question, it's now 18 years since Streets of Rage 3. There's been a number of failed attempts at Streets of Rage 4, but it still hasn't seen the light of day. Every year we hope to see a new announcement at E3, but are always disappointed. Is it about time for Streets of Rage fans to accept the possibility no official sequel will be made? And also, do we really need a new sequel now with the ability of fan-made efforts? That's a very good question. I think that the fan-made efforts are fantastic. Streets of Rage Remake is by far the best fan-made game for Streets of Rage ever, and that's not a question. That's just a fact, and I think a lot of people agree with that. As far as failed attempts to Streets of Rage 4, about the whole it should have came out on Saturn or Dreamcast or PS2, I don't know. If Sega did this, knowing them, they could screw it up. I mean, the only thing that they've done lately that I am okay with is the new Sonic Generations game and the Yakuza series. Other than that, I don't really like what Sega has to offer. They've taken franchises like Golden Axe and all that and just kind of laid them down and pretty much made them fail with their new attempts. I don't know if you want them to make a Streets of Rage 4. I mean, it would help a lot of people around here as far as activity. People would be really excited for it and all that stuff. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if they put their mind to it and they get some people involved that were involved with it back in the 90s and stuff, I think it has the potential to be a really good game. But there's too many things that can go wrong if they try to bring it out of a side scroller, and I think that's what they would try to do. I would like to see an attempt at it, but again, I don't want it to lead to the end of the series. If they do make a fourth game, I would be in support of a new trilogy of it too. Streets of Rage 4 through 6. I think it depends on the popularity of the series. I still think the series today is very popular. We of course see how many people jumped on with Streets of Rage Remake, and people were extremely excited about that. I think the only thing you should hope for at this point for a new Streets of Rage game, you just have to pray to God that Sega wakes up, goes to Bomber Games, somehow, gets this idea, talks with them, they talk with Sega, and you have to hope that maybe one day we see a Streets of Rage remake on Xbox Live Marketplace, or on Arcade, or on PS3's store, or whatever. Because I think that's a possibility if Sega was going to be smart about it. If Sega can't make that happen, that's a missed opportunity for them, because I think that game could draw in a lot of money from that type of a market, and it could make Streets of Rage more popular again. I'm also disappointed with Sega though, because on their on like Xbox Live Arcade and all that, they only have Streets of Rage 2 out. They for some reason skip number 1, and they don't even get number 3 out. They just put 2 on there. Granted, 2 is probably the best of all 3, but why would you just skip over that? It's something I don't understand by them, and the company is Maybe they're coming out of their funk, but I still think they're in it, and I wouldn't trust them on it. If you'd like your question to be read on the next podcast and answered, you can send an email to me, streetsofrage@gmail.com, or you can post a question on our forums under the Streets of Rage Online podcast topic, or you can always private message me, Streetsman, on the streetsofrage.net forums. So keep that in mind, guys, and we will see you again next time on the Streets of Rage Online podcast. Take care, everybody.